Hello everyone and welcome back to Witchinary. If you have yet to subscribe to this channel, please do so because we're getting crafty. And today I wanted to bring to you the Simon Says Stamp September 2018 card kit called Sea Treasure. This card kit was pretty big, y'all. Like, it brought 2 distressed oxide ink pads in Tumbled Glass and Stormy Sky, a Simon Says Stamp ink pad in embossing ink essentially, the beautiful Mermaid 6x8 clear stamp set, and none of the coordinating dies. Treasure chest sequins, aqua glitter paper, 2 metallic envelopes in lavender and white, some Neenah cardstock, and some Tonic deep sea dive luxury embossed paper. It also brought some awesome Mermaid ultrafine embossing powder, but I didn't show it here. I do show it in the video though. No way I was gonna make a video and not show that off. Anyway, because this kit did not bring the coordinating dies, I knew from the get-go this was going to be a very labor-intensive kit. So I tried to break up my work into like little parts. So to start off, I got a bunch of pieces of scrap paper, my mini Misti, some Tuxedo black ink, and I just decided to ink up a bunch of those images down onto my scrap paper. So that way when I color them later, if there's like a mermaid I don't like the color of, I can just redo and not feel totally bad about. So this is kind of what I'm doing, and I'm just taking multiple sheets of paper and doing that over and over and over again. For my next piece, I'm going to make some backgrounds, and I decided to make 2 different types of backgrounds, alcohol ink backgrounds and just regular distressed oxide ink backgrounds. So I figured this would be the quickest way to do backgrounds that were interesting and not have to do a ton of fussy cutting on top of the fussy cutting I needed. So from my stash, I got some Yupo translucent paper, as well as some Pool, Aqua, Stream and Sailboat Blue alcohol inks, as well as some Sunshine yellow ink. Anyway, I'm just gonna splatter this down onto my Yupo paper using, you know, whatever rhyme or reason I wanted. So because this is a mermaid kit, and because mermaids are notorious for having a bunch of like sparkle glamour or under the sea glamour, I definitely wanted to capitalize on that shiny sort of look by being a little bit extra gaudy with my cards. So one thing that you probably noticed is that I used a ton of sequins all over the place, and that kind of pulls on over here. I wanted to make foiled backgrounds with my alcohol inks. Now, I had never done these before, and I have to admit, I learned from this video or from making these cards that I'm not the most patient person. So I didn't wait the necessary like minute that it takes to have the alcohol inks pull and become sticky. So the first time that I tried this, no Disney magic happened. Like, I was not able to pass go or collect my $200. Like, this gold Deco foil just did not stick onto my alcohol inks, and I was a little bit devastated, I'm not gonna lie, but you know what, it happens. Either way, I was still very disappointed because I had just gotten my colors down to a consistency that I really liked. Like, they just looked perfect for an under the sea theme. So the fact that I had to go over it a second time, it got my colors darker. Ultimately, this ended up being like a happy accident because the darker blues looked fabulous against the gold foil when it did actually happen. So spoiler alert, I did get this to work. It just took my second try because I learned to be a little bit more patient with my drying alcohol ink. Anyway, yeah, so once I kind of started getting an idea of how I wanted the cards to look, I knew I wanted them to be shiny and over the top, and I'm pretty sure watching Moana while making these cards had a very, very, very huge influence on how these cards turned out. But anyway, yeah, I just decided to just go for it. So if blingy things, shiny things aren't your thing, then maybe this video isn't for you, and I totally get that. But either way, I'm very, very excited for these cards. I like them. I think they are very, very pretty, even if they are girly. Like, I do think they are pretty enough for me to like give out to people. I didn't really think so far ahead not to do the gold foiling on top of a piece of cardboard because I did get all those cardboard ridges. But you know what? Again, happy accidents. We gonna make it work. We're gonna make this pattern of gold foil work for us. So we're letting it go. For my Distress Oxide backgrounds, I decided to bring out my blending tools as well as my Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxide ink from my stash. And I believe we got this one from Simon Says Stamp as well for April 2018's Beautiful Day card kit. I'm kind of sad that I did bring it out of my stash. There's just something about the tumbled glass and the Stormy Sky Distress Oxide inks that make this, I guess, this kit, and when you do make backgrounds with these two colors, and gives a very ethereal look to the background that I don't think Mermaid Lagoon captures or blends very well with. So I'm kind of sad that I brought it out, but happy accidents, guys. We're making it work. The reason why I decided to use Strathmore watercolor paper to make these backgrounds was because I wanted to make like a sunburst sort of pattern from the corner of my actual card panels, and to accomplish this I needed to use water, and any other paper would have just kind of like warped or whatever while doing that, or soaked up too much water, and I didn't want that. So this is kind of what it looks like. I ended up making a panel that was vertical and another panel that was horizontal, so that way I can just have some variation with my cards. I also made another panel background thing that just kind of had a circle sort of interest point, so that way I could have a little bit more of a simple card and not have to do so much labor. While all of my backgrounds dried, I decided to go ahead and color my mermaids. I used my Tombow dual brush pens, not because they're excellent at coloring these images. Copic markers honestly are, but I do a ton of brush lettering, and I have so many Tombow brush pens that it just became a thing. Like, let me just try to color some of my images using some Tombow brush pens and see how that works. And I'm not mad at it. I still wish I would have used my Copic markers, just because they would have given me a much even distribution of color, and it would have just been a little bit more vibrant. Also, forgive the sirens in the background. It's New York City, guys. Anyway. So for my first card, and for my first couple of cards, I decided to take out a couple of those fussy cutted images. Okay, we're just gonna let that go. And just start playing around with the actual backgrounds and the orientation of these backgrounds. I had cut a couple of the little turtles already, so the turtles actually kind of look like Crush from Finding Nemo, and I really, really like them. I thought they brought a little bit more of like a little personal touch to these cards, but anyway, I digress. Once I'm done playing around with the orientation, everything from here on out moves very, very quickly. I decided to add a little bit more interest to some of these backgrounds by adding some of the little images that were in the actual stamp set I just literally stamped them down to my backgrounds using some of that Stormy Sky ink, which is like my favorite Distress Oxide ink, just to give a little bit more like dimension and just a little bit more interest. But for most of my interest, my bread and butter for this stamp set was definitely kind of playing around with the sizes of the sequins and making sure that they kind of fit together in a pattern that looked like bubbles. And I'm going to show you kind of like what I mean. So I played around with this idea when I did my Hero Arts kit, and I had seen this done in another Simon Says Stamp card kit, but or in the inspiration for this card kit for Simon Says Stamp, but I don't know who did it, and I can't seem to find their name anywhere. So yeah, but I really, really, really wanted to try out that technique, and I wanted to do it for most of my cards because it was just gorgeous, and I never thought about doing that, and now I'm kind of obsessed with it, and I'm very, very happy that I did it for this kit because it definitely brought just this awesome, unexpected bling element to my cards, and I really, really liked it. So this completes my first card. For my second card, I decided that I wanted to still play around with those backgrounds. I raised up my little mermaid using some Recollections foam circles, and I also raised up my little Crush in the background, or my little Crush turtle from Finding Nemo. And again, I wanted to play around with that exact same technique. To glue these down, I'm using my Hero Arts clear lacquer pen, which we got in the Hero Arts kit last month. We also got it in another kit back in like November of 2017 17 or something like that. But anyway, it's just perfect. I can literally just dab and put, and it's just a very quick and easy way when I'm using that lacquer pen. So I'm really, really happy it actually works. I'm adhering all of these down to some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and for this card to finish it off, I use the Memento Tuxedo black ink to stamp down that sentiment in the corner. And as you can see from what I'm talking about, these cards move by very, very quickly. I just kind of saved you the time of like seeing me adhere every single one of those tiny pieces of sequin down to the paper. We would have been here all night. For my third card, I decided to finally pull out my Mermaid Ultra Fine Embossing Powder. And I also pulled out a piece of like thicker vellum just because I wanted to have the Mermaid Ultra Fine Embossing Powder to not sort of sink in so badly into the background of my background or of my panel. I also used my Tombow tape runner to just adhere down my little treasure chest, and I used my Recollections foam circles to just bring up my little mermaid. Once I was done with that, I kind of wanted to do the same technique I'd been doing, but because there was already so much happening with this background, I wanted to play it a little bit safe and just use a couple of the sequins to kind of show like little bubbles coming up from the treasure chest. From my stash, I also pulled out some Nuvo drops and just made a couple of clear dots to signify a couple more bubbles, and that finished off this card. For my next card, I really wanted to use the alcohol ink backgrounds that we had used. From my stash, I pulled out some of that Tonic gold mirror pearlescent paper that we'd gotten in another kit. See, it pays off not to use all of your stuff from your kits sometimes, because then you hoard it like me, and then you end up being able to use it for different occasions like me. So for this one, I end up making 2 strips just to give a little bit of a border. I bring out another one of my little mermaids and I raise her up using some foam circles. At the bottom, I use some Memento Tuxedo black ink to stamp down the sentiment, mermaid looks good on you. And then because I felt like this particular panel didn't have enough gold that was like blinged out for the gods, I decided to, you know, again, use some sequins to really bling this card out. For my next card, I really wanted to bring back that vellum sort of look that I used for my third card, and I wanted to make sure that this card was going to be a horizontal facing card. I used my corner rounder to round off the corners of my vellum just because, I don't know, I thought it would look good, and it kind of does. I used my Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink to heat emboss some more Mermaid Ultra Fine embossing powder for the sentiment, just because that literally that embossing powder is the stuff of my dreams. So I'm really, really happy that it's in this kit, so I couldn't get enough of it. I raised this up using some foam circles again, and just to give the vellum a little bit more stability, I added a little crush on the corner just for yucks and giggles. Anyway, I adhere this little panel down to some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I just use my Tombow tape runner to adhere this down, just like any other regular card. And guys, I'm not really sure which one of these cards is my actual favorite, because once everything started coming together, I was very, very, very happy with the results. For my last card, I didn't want to use a mermaid. I didn't want to use any of the background things. I just wanted to use the stamp set and this beautiful Simon Says Stamp Aqua glitter paper. So I just cut it down to 4 by 5 inches, and I took some of that awesome ultra matte black cardstock that I just have in my stash at all times. I can't have anything else. I pulled out some Ranger gold embossing powder, and I heat embossed one of the sentiments onto the actual paper, and just a little bit of the scraps of that beautiful Tonic mirror gold paper as well to give it some borders. I know that this kit can like just kind of side on the side of being very, very girly, so I wanted to do something that was, yes, girly, but still would have a little bit of a masculine edge, and I felt like this card was simple enough to do that but still have a little bit more pizzazz. So this was a simple and easy card that you can do, and just like that, this one is done. thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys have a great day.